first started working on this project, we kind of thought about you being the John Wayne grandpa of dentistry.
Yeah, I don't mind. I put the hat on and stuff like that is like, hey, I'm here to tell the truth and I'm here to tell my story.
We're just here having a conversation because we have some exciting news, Mac and I. We have come together, joined forces to write the TMJ Trifecta, Solving Your Pain Puzzle. And we're just doing a little interview to talk through some of the best points in the book, some of the best takeaways, to give you a little preview and hopefully entice you to click on the link in the description here and pre-order a copy. Mac?
Well, my personal thing that I want to get across is I wrote the book and I came up with the reason to write the book for you, the pain patient. You've been in the dark. You have not been able to find help. You may have a supportive family. You may have a family that's not supportive, just think that's just all in your mind. These are all the things that happen to these poor people who have this devastating TMJ pain that nobody understands. There's only a few of us that understand. And the purpose of the book is to give you the answers to how to find a good dentist, how to help yourself, on how to overcome all the problems instead of being kicked down the road by all these other professionals who have no clue on how to help you. Please get this book, read it like a Bible. It's got so many little bitty things in there that no one ever thinks about, but yet they're all very important.
When you and I set out to do this, one of my stipulations was I want to make sure we're on the same page, Mac. This book, we're writing it for the reader, for the patient, and not the doctors. And I, honestly, at times it was a little hard because you and I are both in the dental industry and we talk to doctors all the time. You are a doctor. I mean, you might have kind of needed some therapy to undoctor yourself.
Well, you have the need to be unindoctrinated, whatever the word is, but you have the dentists that know nothing, and they are exactly like the patient. They don't have a clue. They don't know about muscle trigger points. They don't know how to palpate the joint. They don't know about jaw deviations. And this is a good way for them to learn. And the patients who read this book say, I wish my dentist would have known that.
Patients are going to appreciate that you're okay with them deciding, I'm fine, I don't need anything. And you're okay with stepping on some toes because at the end of the day, you're not even trying to get them to be patients.
No.
You were a dentist for over 50 years?
Practiced for 50 years, but now I have a second career. I didn't stop working.
No, you'll never stop working. I'm certain.
I just don't work in the mouth.
You work with your mouth.
I'll use it. I'll work with my mouth instead of in the mouth.
Yeah. I'm excited for patients to read this and to know you don't have an agenda.
No.
Tell us about the Life Robbing Pain book, because that's the book that brought us together.
A couple of years ago, we met in Vancouver, Washington. Well, we'd met before, but we really met and had a conversation. And because I had written this book a couple of years ago, The Life Robbing Pain of TMD, and you heard me give a talk about the deficient maxilla. And after that meeting, we sat down in the lobby and I had told the crowd that I was going to write another book because this book was not comprehensive enough. It didn't have enough detailed information, and people who are in pain, they want detailed information. And you say, hey, let's write a book together. And I thought, well, how's that going to help me? And when you told me of all your experience in writing, and I'm from a country town and with a country education in high school, it's not much of an education. I thought, Mac, this is a smart thing to do. I need somebody to massage my words so that it's really the King's English instead of this South Texas drawl. And it's been 2 years now or so, and we have done a fantastic job together.
Yeah.
And it's been nothing but fun. It's been nothing but education for me. And
Well, and
we're inviting
obviously,
everybody to read this new book. And John, you got a copy of it, so you can hold the
yep.
new book up.
I can also, I'll also, just superimpose it, but yeah.
Yes. Okay. And I have to give my hats off to Jonathan, who basically, after listening to all my BS, came up with the topic or the title, the TMJ Trifecta, because I call it the trifecta. And the trifecta is there's three different reasons that people have a different bite or three different bites that can cause the problem. Other dentists that treat TMD are not occlusally based. In other words, they don't think it's the bite that's causing the problem. I can tell you I am 100%, and Jonathan is on board with me, that the biggest problem people with TMD pain is the occlusion. And occlusion is simply the way the teeth come together, the way the jaw moves, the way the joints move, the way the muscles that move the jaws and the joint, and how they all move and how they should be in harmony. But if they're not in harmony, then either the teeth are going to lose and break down over time, and or the patient's going to have joint problems or muscle problems or a whole plethora of problems all over the body, including the neck and the back and the joints. And Jonathan, you have enough of a TMD issue yourself to have understood everything that we have talked about.
As much of as I've learned from you in this 2-year process, when I sat in my first dental seminar, um, and they started talking about occlusion and the system that is the jaw teeth complex, they didn't use all the same words that we have, but the concepts were they just made sense. And it was like a light bulb moment, even back then, of just, of course, this is how it works, and why, when it doesn't work, bad things can happen.
Bad things can happen. Yes. And, a patient is at the mercy of the dentist that they choose to be their dentist. And the dentist looks in there and sees, oh, you've got some worn teeth, you got some chipped teeth, you need your teeth protected. So we're going to make you a night guard. And I learned not to say the word splint, because I would say, this is before I knew TMD information. I would say, well, Jonathan, you need a splint. And Jonathan would say, a splint? You're going to break my jaw? I mean, what do I need a splint for? So then it dawned on me that the words that I use are extremely important. But if the doctor does not know what they're doing, they simply take an impression of the upper and lower jaw. They don't palpate the joint. They don't try to find the right jaw position. They just say, let me take impressions of the upper and lower, and I'll take a bite on this material. And so they send to the lab their models that are like this. Well, there's nothing you can do with that. So what we're teaching is that we're going to take a bite like this, which means we can move the jaw this way, that way, this way, this way, and this way, in order to find the most harmonious position. There is equipment that's going to measure these muscles that operate this lower jaw. Not only do they measure the muscles, they measure it in live time as to the joint position. And it's fantastic equipment that we can use. Now, you're going to have your dentist detractors that don't spend $40,000 or $50,000 buying this equipment, saying, well, there's no studies, there's no facts, there's no anything else. Well, it only makes sense for these muscles to be relaxed. And how do you know if a muscle is relaxed? EMGs. Muscles are not comfortable over here. They're not comfortable. Oh, look at right there. They're pretty comfortable. Mark that spot on the computer. I can mark that spot on the computer, and I can tell that patient, okay, let's go back to that spot. They have no clue how to go back to that spot, but I'm watching it on the computer screen. I'm watching it on the grid. Okay, move a little bit to the left, no, that's too much. Boom, stay right there. And then I can squirt in that caulking material that looks like that takes a bite, and you've got the bite. That the patient needs to know and how to pick their dentist and knowing how to stay away from a dentist that doesn't do all of these things.
Right. Because what they're
I mean,
used to is the over-the-counter stuff, the boil and bite night guards, and but one of the things I'm proud of with the book is that we've layered this information and done our best to serve every reader where they are and
correct.
explore with them their options at that level. Because people just don't understand that the night guard, like that protects my teeth, right? I mean, some people would call it a mouth guard. Well, yes, but that's like, if you notice a dripping in your ceiling and you put a bucket under it, yeah, the water's not getting everywhere, but that bucket's going to fill
Still
up.
got a
The
drip.
damage being done in the ceiling is not being stopped. You haven't found the source of the water. I mean, that's not even an analogy that we really use in the book, but that's what I love about your writing. Your communication style is you use things like analogies like that to just take those dental concepts and make them totally accessible and kind of take away, not even some of it's misinformation, some of it's just negligence, lack of information from providers that, like you said, just aren't trained.
Right. And it's not only the dentist, it's your ENTs, it's your neurologist. As dentists, we did not learn much about the joint. We learned about the joint, but we didn't learn about TMD. We learned a little bit about occlusion, but we didn't fit everything together. We were not taught. An ENT is taught nothing about dentistry, nothing about the joint. A neurologist is taught nothing about the muscles that open and close the jaw, the muscles that go into spasm, the muscles that cause pain. They're looking for a pathway, a neurological pathway that creates the pain. They're not looking for functional issues such as a lower jaw trying to fit an upper jaw with these two hinges not being in the right place, not being in harmony. They don't understand all of this. And if everybody watching this will put their finger up here on their joint and open and close, they can feel that joint move. And put your finger in your ear back there. There's only about a millimeter of bone that separates this ear canal with this joint. And if this joint is too far back and it's back into the nerves, it's going to hurt like hell. People don't know it's the joint. They go to an ear doctor. The ear doctor doesn't know it's a joint. The ear doctor is looking for an infection. They can't find it. Oh, there's no infection. My God, there must be. Oh, but I hurt. I'm in pain. I'm in pain. Oh, we must take an MRI. Oh, the patient thinks I've got a tumor.
Yeah.
And I hear this story over and over and over again. It's the same with the neurologist. I've got these migraines. Oh, well, we better take an MRI. Well, everybody's looking for a tumor. So when they're focusing on either the ear or they're focusing on either the brain, this creating a migraine, they're not focusing on this joint. They're not understanding how all of this operates, that when this does not work, it can hurt here, or it can hurt with these muscles, and these muscles go into spasm. It only makes sense. If the jaw is trying to find the right place to land, it can't. It goes back and forth and back and forth. It's going to hurt. If it doesn't hurt, you're going to break your teeth in. How do I know? 50 years of experience of looking and mouths all day long, every day. And you see everything in the world, but it's not just me. Every dentist sees the same thing. Every dentist sees the same patients. I saw a lot more pain patients. Either they were referred to me or they found me. And because of my reputation that I knew what I was doing, and they knew that their teeth were breaking down and they had to do something. Dentistry is extremely rewarding if you do it the right way. If you're on roller skates, running from room to room, doing fillings and all of this stuff, it's not that much fun. If you get people out of life robbing pain, you have done something. I want every dentist, there's a lot of dentists that have no clue about TMD. I want every dentist to experience what I did in my journey of starting from being totally unaware to being the dentist that I was when I retired.
And I just have loved being a part of it. I mean, I've been working with dentists in various capacities for 25 years now. And 15 of it owning my own company, and most of those 15 years working with TMD dentists. And it's just been great to be able to be a part of a project where I'm directly communicating with patients and helping them. But I've always enjoyed marketing TMD treatment with the type of doctors that we talk about in the TMJ trifecta, because it is that rewarding. We almost titled the book "You Can Be TMD Free." Um, I think that was a working title we had for a while, and I was passionate about that just because that is the idea that yes, it is possible, and you don't have to have surgery. You don't have to do anything irreversible. There are so many treatments out there that can get a little bit of relief, some temporary relief, but the thing that makes our TMJ book different than a lot of the others is it talks about the multiple causes of this and why some people can have TMD and not be in pain. That's not something that people consider, but I mean, TMD is, I don't even, we don't really know, do we, Mac, how prevalent it is? I mean, there are some numbers out there.
There are
Uh,
numbers out there, but like anything else, they're hard to believe. How did they get the numbers? And so I'm a little bit leery of things like that. I just know, well, you just told me the story about going to the hairdresser. And the hairdresser, well, what's going on, Jonathan? Well, I wrote a book. And what's it about? Oh, it's about, and the woman's in the chair doing hair next to her says, I've got that. Well, think about it. Why do they have TMD? I mean, all day long they're doing this and they got the head down like this and they're doing like this and all the stress. And as you pointed out, not me, I did not the one that said this. They also talk a lot. So
I mean,
yeah,
yeah.
you said that. Yeah, you said it. But that's, anyway, it is everywhere in some fashion or form. You've got worn teeth, you've got cracked teeth, you've got these little niches at your gum line, you've got loose teeth. You got any type of noise in your joint? You got any deviation of the jaw when it opens and closes? You have any restriction of your jaw open and close? You've got TMD, period.
I can't remember where we found this, but more than 10 million Americans. It was the number. I think we got that from the CBS expose about
Yeah.
TMJ surgery. But
Oh,
I think that's not right. There's so many. I mean, is TMJ disorder a syndrome? It's a collection that you can't
syndrome.
really get a DNA test for TMD.
Choosing the right dentist is imperative. If you first say clean teeth don't rot. So if you are cleaning your teeth and they're perfectly clean, you're probably not going to have decay and gum disease, but you may have bite issues. Your child may have developmental issues. That's why you have to have a dentist that knows all how everything is connected so that the development is right. Or if you do have TMD pain, you got to go to somebody that studied intently after they graduated from dental school and they went to different schools to learn very specific things to help the pain patient. A dentist is not a dentist. I'm retired. I can say what I want to say. The ADA is a political organization. They're not the spokesman for dentists. Your clinical dentists that have dedicated their lives to learning more and more and more, and they never stop learning, are the ones that change dentistry. That and the public. If the public demands that there be TMD treatment and they demand it and demand it, and the media catches on and they start demanding it, then that's when things are going to change.
Our vision for this was that it would be a tool that the patient carried with them to their provider, that they would use. Like we've got a checklist in here to kind of self-screen whether or not you likely have TMD. And the patient can just, go down that list and identify, okay, is this likely TMD or not. And we've got home care DIY treatment type things to help patients right away start to feel better by, palpating and massaging. Um, and we're not trying to teach people how to be dentists.
No,
At some point, you will likely need professional treatment of your TMD. If you don't treat the full trifecta, then your symptoms are going to come back. You've got to trust
correct.
someone at some point to address all of it. And just, this isn't dental school or the decades of additional training that it takes.
But to reiterate what you're saying, these people in pain that have headaches, neck aches, et cetera, they go to a great chiropractor, great acupuncturist, massage therapist, and oh yeah, I mean they're working on these and they're working on those trigger points, and God, that hurts, it hurts, but it feels good. It feels good. Oh, when you get through, yes, I feel so much better. And then a week later, they start feeling it coming back. You have your spine, you have your C1, C2, which are your spinal cord, and they are parallel with your bite. So when the bite is off, it can throw this off. And if this is off, it can throw the bite off. So everything is connected. I also recommend taking the book to your dentist and your ENT because can you imagine what an ENT would say if they had a painful joint and they were looking in the ear and saying, well, there's nothing wrong with your ear. And the patient to say, well, doc, do you think that the condyle is being compressed against the retrodiscal pad of the joint? What do you think that ENT would do? They'd freak out. They get mad. They're going to say, what are you talking about? Well, I know that this is, oh, the ENT says, gosh, maybe I need to find me a dentist that knows how to do TMD. Every ENT needs to be working with a TMD dentist. Every neurologist needs to be working, and vice versa.
Sad that even though that's the truth, patients continue to suffer even after getting treatment here, treatment there. They're getting referred all over. We're talking about a book. I'm going to do a little reading from the book here. Unfortunately, few providers understand this, and because your symptoms persist, providers refer you elsewhere. Your is dental in origin, and so physicians and others probably referred you to dentists. Most dentists are ill equipped to treat your problem, even though it's dental. They try to refer you out, and you, the patient, are kicked down the road to be someone else's problem. You are not a problem. You have a problem. And
100%.
and that's the problem with this system is that, I mean, it's the problem with the insurance coverage too. Dental insurance says, no, 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 this is medical. This is medical. Insurance says, no, 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 this is dental. This is
Digital.
dental. Uh, and no one wants to assume responsibility for it because until now, I don't think people have really understood all the different facets. It's like this faction over here in dentistry says, well, we've got the answer. This faction over here says, we've got the answer. And this provider over here, no, 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 we've got the answer. And the reason is these guys probably have one facet of the trifecta. And they're like, here we go. I've treated all these patients, and all these patients are pain free. Well, those patients probably only had one of the
One.
trifecta right then and there. Down the road, another aspect of that trifecta could pop them out of their zone of TND freedom, and then they're back into pain. But this faction over here probably has another facet of the trifecta. And what we're trying to do with this book is equip the patient to be in a way that unifying force that pulls everyone together and says, look, listen, listen, this is what I need. Help me.
Right. That's right. And the trifecta that any dentist that knows anything about occlusion, they're going to know about the first trifecta, and that is interferences, how the teeth hitting together, interfering with each other, they're interfering with the movement. They understand that. And they can make an appliance to take care of that interference and do quite successfully. Wasn't until I started my neuromuscular journey that I understood about a torqued mandible, where one side hits before the other. I mean, it made sense, but I didn't think it was a big deal. But just think about a porch swing with one chain being longer than the other. That's not a very not a very comfortable swing to sit in. So if these aren't coming together again, it's kind of like having, one leg shorter than the other. It's not good. So the appliance has to be made to compensate for that. And if you take an appliance made, like I said, where the bite is taken with the teeth together, you're not compensating for any of this. The one that they can't really wrap their head around is jaws are shrinking. The upper jaw is shrinking over time. There's no room for the wisdom teeth anymore. You go back 300 or 400 years ago and look at skulls, they all had perfectly shaped jaws. So we have a deficient maxilla. And with that deficient maxilla, this jaw to jaw complex is incorrect. And when on closure, the jaw has to go back. When the jaw goes back, it takes the condyle back. Takes the condyle back, it goes into the ear. There's your earache. There's your ear problem. There's your ringing. There's your popping. There's the deviation of the jaw opening and closing. Dentists cannot and will not wrap their head around that. And the reason I referred patients the first part of my career treating TMJ is because I didn't understand it. And when I started taking neuromuscular dentistry and I saw with a jaw tracking machine that when the jaw opened and then when it closed, it went backwards. That backwards movement, lights went over my head. I said, oh my God, look what I've been missing. And I want every dentist to understand and experience that.
And I think to just clarify something, I do believe that the average person is going to not just need to see the dentist that we talk about in this book, um, but some of the other types of providers that we talk about in this book. I mean, again, 15 years ago, my very first customer of my marketing company taught me, Jonathan, it takes a village to treat these people because often they have other contributing things. You taught me in this book, and our readers will learn about ascending and descending conditions that contribute to it. I mean, our the TMD community is a community of human beings that have a head, a neck, shoulders,
Yeah.
all these symptoms that TMD contributes to those symptoms and vice versa. So, we do need a community of providers to care for us. What we need is for them to come together and understand the whole facet, all the different facets of this condition, so that people can actually get relief.
And protection from a dentist that don't know what they're doing.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
yeah, I mean, you hear it over and over as a dentist like me and all my dentist friends, my neuromuscular dentist friends from IGMO, they all hear exactly the same story. I don't care if they live in Russia or India or wherever they live, it's the same. People are the same, they have the same problems.
One of the things that gives me hope about this situation that our world is in, with the providers not understanding, potentially contributing to this condition, is that you've talked to dentists in some of these different factions of dentistry about the concepts in our book. And even though maybe publicly they wouldn't say, yes, I mean, you could put our name on this, they still say, I agree with you. It's just, it does come down to some politics, right? And some other things. And it's just not right that the patient pays the price for that. But it's getting better.
An example, one of the appliances that we talk about in the book is the Tanner appliance, which I learned in 1977. And the Tanner appliance was for get ridding of posterior interferences. That's what it was for. They didn't take into account torqued mandible, and certainly didn't take into account a deficient maxilla. So I was listening to someone who was still teaching at that school give a webinar, and I could, ask questions as they were going along. And they were talking about this, and I said, well, what if it is a joint issue? What if this joint is compressed? And it's like, oh, well, then, you have to, then he talks about, well, you can build an appliance that takes them forward, which is what we do. I did every day. So he jumped in on and agreeing with me, but he didn't want to agree with me because that's not what they teach.
Mm.
But that's what he does in his office because he knows that's what works. So my other promise to you, the reader, is that we're going to tell it just like it is, at least the way I see it, and not sugarcoat it and not try to take care of other camps or other dentists or other philosophies, and taking my philosophy and describing it in such sequence of events that it's easy for anybody to understand. That's the goal. So when you go to a dentist that does this protocol, you don't know what the dentist is doing, you don't know why, and you'll be a part of it. I always told my patients, I said, we're about to enter into a dance. We have to not step on each other's toes. We have to be honest with each other. And we have to take from each other and lead from each other. And the biggest thing I can do as a provider is to listen. I had a patient call me one time who went to one of these dentists that does all the EMGs, does the jaw tracking. She said, I tried that. She said it didn't work. This is what fun. She lived about 2 hours away. And I said, well, let me ask you this. Did the dentist listen to the computer, or did the dentist listen to you? She said, the dentist listened to the computer. I said, well, I'm going to listen to you because I'm going to use the computer as a guide. But if you tell me that doesn't feel comfortable, then an idiot would keep on going and trying to talk you into that it feels good. There's just no way. When you get everything
Yep.
in harmony, people know that it's in harmony. And it may take a while to get it in harmony. And once you get it in harmony, then you have this plastic overlay that takes care of the trifecta. And then the muscle starts saying, oh, that feels pretty good. And then things start changing. It starts relaxing. When it starts relaxing, gravity pulls this jaw forward. Then they call you next week and say it doesn't fit anymore. Well, that's because your jaw moved. That's because we have to readjust. And I gave unlimited adjustments. I gave a rebate if the appliance didn't work. I'm recommending other dentists do that, but they don't want to do that. Now, let me ask you, Jonathan, you've got, in your history as a TMD patient, you've got 5 appliances in your drawer that you can't wear. And you paid a lot of money for all these appliances. And you come to me or somebody like me, and I'll listen. My team listens, palpating the joints. I'm doing all of these things that are in the book and say, Jonathan, I really think that I can help you. And I'm so convinced I'm willing to give you a 50% rebate if you're not satisfied. You give me the appliance back, I give you half of your money back. What would you be thinking? Well, here's somebody that is sure enough of what they're doing.
You're putting some
that,
skin in the game.
Yeah, I'm putting some skin in the game.
Yeah.
And to me, it needs to be that way. I'll, going to be a lot of backfire from my friends and dentist friends, but I don't care. That's the way it should be.
That's
I mean,
right.
I'm thinking about the patient, they
Although we don't sugarcoat it either. I mean, like you said, it is a dance, and the patient does play a part. And so, I mean, we help the reader better understand their body. We say the more you understand you, the more you'll understand the cause of your TMD. But we also make sure that patients understand you are a whole person. There's a lot of dentists that will say, well, you're just crazy, maybe behind your back, you're a pain in the butt patient, that kind of thing. And that's not right. However, there is a component of stress and things that can push you where you had been able to compensate for the physical symptoms or physical, parts of the trifecta that are impinging on your, TMD freedom, we call it. But if you are overstressed and or depressed, or you've got all these other things, then you're not going to be able to compensate anymore. That's a mental component that if you don't take care of yourself, you're never going
Right.
to get out of pain. I mean, like,
Right. And in the book, we say, yeah, I interview a patient and say, gosh, you got such wear and tear in your teeth. You have, any headaches, TMD, TMJ? And they say, well, I used to until I got a new job or got a divorce or whatever, and then it all went away. And so, like you said, there's TMD that's painful, there's TMD that's not painful, and why nobody knows. My opinion is the brain just doesn't listen. The brain, when it doesn't hurt, it's like, damn the torpedoes, we're going to keep on going. And with the others, it's just, as you call it, the adaptive capacity has been, and it's been breached, and they don't know how to not think about it
yep.
because it's a true problem. It's painful. It's real.
Yeah. Well, if you don't have any room in your life to deal with another thing, it's going to boil over, and so the communication between doctor and patient is critical. And dealing with the other things that you've got going on in your body. I mean, that's why we talk about the different providers that you may have to see in the book. But we have contributors in the book that share their insights. This is Mac's brainchild. He is the clinical expert behind this book. But we have, I mean, in your 50 years experience, you've also been taught by other experts. So
Oh,
when readers read this book, they are not just getting Dr. Mac Lee, they're getting
they're
a
getting
wealth of knowledge.
they're getting LD Pankey, they're getting Henry Tanner, John Coyce, Peter Dawson. Uh, the list just goes on and on and on. Now, all these are worldwide known dentists, and they were all personal friends. And yeah, so my mantra on that is better to copy genius than it is to create mediocrity. And
Hmm.
there is no way that a dentist can, I don't care, they get right out of dental school and they think they're going to understand TMD. There is no way. It's called heuristic learning. They have to find somebody that has been there before them, and they have to learn from them.
Well, I hope you, the viewer of this little conversation, will jump on to the link that's in the description to pre-order the TMJ Trifecta, Solving Your Pain Puzzle. I know that you'll enjoy the read. You'll enjoy the tools that we give you, and I hope it serves you well on your journey to TMD freedom.
It's all for you.
Boom. I think we got it.
I can't be scripted.
That's all right. We don't want you scripted.